Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, I appreciate you for stopping by. And to my returning subscribers, thank you for your continued support as we uncover the truth that history tried to hide. America has always had a story of stolen land, of broken treaties, and of people who were here long before European ships touched these shores. But history is not just what's written in books, it's what's being hidden, rewritten, and stolen. Many of us grew up printed by Pocahontas, a young indigenous girl who was romanticized in fairy tale. But what's her real story? One of betrayal, captivity, and forced assimilation. And she wasn't the only one. The so-called land of the free was built on the blood of the First Nation. The Oklahoma land rush wasn't about discovery, it was about theft. European settlers, many of whom weren't even native, suddenly became Indians for just $5, stealing not only the land, but the identity itself. Meanwhile, the real indigenous people, those who look like us, with copper-colored skin, were reclassified, stripped of our heritage, and labeled as Negroes, colored, and later black. So I ask you this, if history was written by the victors, then what was left for the conquered? And how much of what we were taught was the truth? Let's talk about it. Peace and love, family.
On behalf of Akuno Senko for Bay, you know what I'm saying? Jay, where you at? We're trying to help our people elevate. Hope. H-O-P-E. We're giving them hope. We doing what we gotta do, you know. Every day, one step at a time, man. We gonna make it happen. Helping our people elevate. Yeah. Sometimes I practice focus, thought, and meditate. I'm trying to come with other ways to help our people elevate and seeking knowledge, make me levitate. The lifted mental state is what results from how we orchestrate. This for the family's sake. Let's self-reflect and self-evaluate. And every day, make sure the steps you take, you calculate. Receive a master's fate. I know I can't exist without the hate, but that's okay. I balance that with higher self today. Success is on this way, and after that, my flesh can pass away.
Soldiers massacre sleeping camp of Native Americans. Declaring he did not care whether or not it was the rebellious band of Native Americans he had been searching for, Major Eugene Baker ordered his men to attack a sleeping camp of peaceful Blackfeet along the Marias River in northern Montana. The previous fall, Malcolm Clark, an influential Montana rancher, had accused a Blackfoot warrior named Owl Child of stealing some of his horses. He punished the man with a brutal whipping. In retribution, Owl Child and several allies murdered Clark and his son at their home near Helena and then fled north to join a band of rebellious Blackfeet under the leadership of Mountain Chief. Outraged and frightened, Montanans demanded that Owl Child and his followers be punished, and the government responded by ordering the forces garrisoned under Baker at Fort Ellis, now modern-day Bosom in Montana, to strike back. Strengthening his cavalry unit with 2 infantry groups from Fort Shaw near Great Falls, Baker led his troops into the sub-zero winter weather and headed north in search of Mountain Chief's band. Soldiers later reported that Baker drank a great deal throughout the march. On January 22nd, Baker discovered a village along Marias River and, postponing his attack until the following morning, spent the evening drinking heavily. At daybreak on the morning of January 23, 1870, Baker ordered his men to surround the camp in preparation for attack. As the darkness faded, Baker's scout Joe Kipp recognized that the painted designs on the buffalo skin lodges were those of a peaceful band of Blackfeet led by a heavy runner. Mountain Chief and Owl Child, Kipp quickly realized, must have gotten wind of the approaching soldiers and moved their winter camp elsewhere. Kipp rushed to tell Baker that they had the wrong group, but Baker reportedly replied, "That makes no difference, one band or another of them. They are all pigeons, Blackfeet, and we will attack them." Baker then ordered a sergeant to shoot Kipp if he tried to warn the sleeping camp of Blackfeet and gave the command to attack. Baker's soldiers began blindly firing into the village, catching the peaceful Native Americans utterly unaware and defenseless. By the time the brutal attack was over, Baker and his men had, by the estimate, murdered 37 men, 90 women, and 50 children. Knocking down lodges with frightened survivors inside, the soldiers set them on fire, burned some of the Blackfeet alive, and then burned the band meager supplies of food for the winter. Baker initially captured about 140 women and children as prisoners to take them back to Fort Ellis, but when he discovered that many were ill with smallpox, he abandoned them to face the daily winter without food or shelter. When word of Baker's massacre, known as the Marias Massacre, reached the East, many Americans were outraged. One angry congressman denounced Baker, saying civilization shudders at horrors like this. Baker's superior, however, supported his actions, as did the people of Montana, with one journalist calling Baker's critics namby-pamby, sniffling old maid sentimentalists. Neither Baker nor his men faced a court-martial or any other disciplinary actions. However, the public outrage over the massacre did derail the growing movement to transfer control of Indian affairs from the Department of Interior to the War Department of President Ulysses S. Grant, decreed that henceforth all Native agents would be civilians rather than soldiers.